So today is Thursday, May the 16th, 2019. I am Father Howard Giles.
I'm Deacon Erin Giles.
And we are the clergy at Jesus the Good Shepherd in Henderson, Nevada. And part of our extended church family, our family and faith, is Jim and Leslie Falk, members of Gerard Family Camp and long family friends of ours, and they presented Erin and I with a gift this week. How did we get these things, Erin?
It's our 10th year anniversary. Jesus the Good Shepherd was founded in 2009, so this is 2019. And as part of that, we invited some of our family and supporters from different parts of the country to come and visit, and some of them did, including Jim and Leslie. And Jim and Leslie were members of Gerard Family Camp for many years, and they were also very close spiritual children of Father George and Judy Gerard. And when Father George and Judy passed, Jim and Leslie received several of their personal effects, including some Bibles and prayer books and other special books. And in honor of Jesus the Good Shepherd's 10 years of ministry in Henderson and in the Las Vegas Valley, where Father George and Judy ministered for many, many faithful years and proclaimed the gospel faithfully and had many spiritual children here in Henderson, Jim and Leslie felt moved to give to us some of these precious books that had belonged to Father George and Judy, and one that belonged to another member of Gerard Family Camp, Janet Wilcox.
Right, Janet Wilcox. And so that was just a neat addition, wasn't it, to the list of gifts. The first one we had to include for fun, which is the Peanuts Treasury, just to show the sense of humor of Father George and Judy. And this was a period of time in Charles Schulz's career when he was really exploring and living the Christian faith. So there's lots of really wonderful scripture references, and our kids have been really enjoying this, haven't they? Harry's been reading them to John and Judah.
They have been. There's been some references to Job and other books of the Bible, and the kids have been thrilled to be able to recognize them, and of course to recognize the humor of the Peanuts gang.
Yeah, that's been fun. Okay, so now what about this stack? What's the first one that we're going to talk about?
The first one is a Bible. It's a New American Standard copy of the New Testament and Psalms.
And so just one of those little pocket Bibles like the Gideon's handout. And all of them have something in the beginning. So what do we see in the beginning of this one? If you could show the camera.
Right. So this Bible, this Bible was presented to Father George Gerard on January 25th, 1979, for the 22nd anniversary of his ordination to the priesthood. And it was then given later by Judy Gerard to Leslie in 2006.
So hold on a second. So it was given to him in 79 on the 22nd anniversary. So my quick math says he's ordained in 1957.
My math would agree.
Yes, and I believe, I'm not certain about this, some of you will comment that he was ordained in Reno and then served in Winnemucca pretty soon after that. But in the comment section, hopefully we get some discussion about that.
And this particular one I love because it has several things written in Father George's handwriting. On the very front cover here, flyleaf, it says, "Principles of Christian Warfare. He conquered by yielding, he received by giving, overcame by being defeated, and lived by dying." And then it says...
Let's repeat those one more time really briefly.
He conquered by yielding.
Conquered by yielding.
He received by giving, overcame by being defeated, and lived by dying.
So principles of spiritual warfare.
Christian warfare. So
Wonderful.
The he, of course, being Jesus. And then, "Be still and know that I am God," it also says. And the other wonderful thing about this particular copy that we have here is that it's been underlined, written in, highlighted, asterisks. There's some notations, K for kingdom, and P for prayer, and PA for parable. So
turn that around and show us a good page here. Bring that a little closer to the camera so people can see all of that marking that's on there. That's a wonderful addition.
And it's just really been well loved. It's been retaped, and you can tell that Father George, I think, must have carried this, and I imagine Leslie probably read it as well.
This is one that I've been carrying with me, and you can see it's very similar to the other Bible. This is the Imitation of Christ by St. Thomas à Kempis, and it was published, I believe, in 1911, and clearly something that spent a lot of time, 1912. It spent a lot of time in Father George's pocket, I think. And one of the really cool things I love about a lot of his books that we've received over the years is that he has his address scratched out and written again. So the thing I love about this one is the first address is St. Timothy's, and there's a P.O. box, so they're using a P.O. box at that time with, of course, a 565 phone number. Then he scratched that out. And then there's St. Columba's Church, Inverness, when he and Judy were at Inverness with Bishop John David, then Father David, and then that one's been scratched out. And then the last address he has is their home address on Elm Street, and then their 564 phone number in his address. So it's a little bit of a history, that he's at St. Tim's and then at St. Columba's and then back in Henderson, and here's a book that he carried with him through those travels, and again underlining and markings in this little edition as well. What's the next one that we have?
It's a manual for priests, and there's no date. It does say Father George Gerard, St. Columba's Church, Inverness. The book was printed in 1956, so I imagine maybe he received it close to his ordination, and we're thinking 1957. But it's a manual for priests of the American Church, published by the Society of St. John the Evangelist.
And the really cool thing about this one is, of course, this is a manual for the 1928 prayer book, and what they say in the frontispiece is that Manual of Priests had come out for clergy in England, but there hadn't been one published for the 28 prayer book. So this was answering a need, and there's really wonderful prayers in here. One of my favorites is a blessing for throats, which is a really cool blessing. And you can see in this one as well that there are what look to me like smoke marks. I'm not sure if the camera can pick those up. And of course, those in our church family know that St. Timothy's in Henderson burned down twice. And so there was a lot of smoke damage, and Father George lost a lot of his books along the way. They were in the church office, and it's a possibility that this was in one of those two fires and received some of that smoke damage then.
And I noticed, looking at it, that there's a printing on the front, the Reverend George Gerard, so probably a very nice gift that someone had for him.
Very good. What's our next one?
Our next one is Judy Gerard's 1928 prayer book and the 1940 hymnal. So it has both of them in one volume.
Yeah,
and
you've got one like that you love that's for the 79 prayer book.
I do. It's absolutely falling apart, but I do love it.
Like this one. This one's falling apart.
I think it might be just like this one. I imagine that Judy read through these prayers, and being a musician, that she played a lot and sung a lot of these hymns. There's one, I was looking, there's a leaf in one of them, and it's at the place of 40 days and 40 nights. So one of the hymns that we still sing in the congregation at Jesus the Good Shepherd. And there she was marking that one, or perhaps another one with what looks like a eucalyptus leaf in her day.
Wonderful. Beautiful smell for a Lenten hymn. Very nice. Okay, and what's the next one that we have?
The next one is Father George's 1979 prayer book, and it's got, the ribbons are well used, so I imagine that he's got different places marked, although maybe Howard's using it, so those might be his markings.
I've moved the ribbons.
But this also has Father Padre Pio, I believe Italian saint of the 20th century, and I've heard Joanne Trent mention that Father George had a devotion to Padre Pio.
Clearly he did, because he has the picture here inscribed. And just a quick story, we had a miracle here in Henderson associated with Padre Pio. A wonderful woman that I work with came down with a terrible illness and was in hospital for weeks, and she was isolated in the hospital, so friends and family couldn't come in to see her, and she was close to death. And Padre Pio appeared to her, and and she wasn't sure if she was so sick that she was hallucinating, so she thought, I'm going to close my eyes and open them again, and so she did that, and he was still there. And her healing was truly miraculous, and is back working with us for the state of Nevada, and God heals today, and he heals through his saints. So really wonderful to have that connection in that picture. You've got some writing in the front here.
Again, George Gerard, St. Columba's Chapel, crossed off from Inverness, and then their home address, George and Judy's home address on Elm Street in Henderson. Mm-hmm. So again, it looks to be well used, and as if there were many faithful prayers that were said reading that particular book.
So a 79 per book. Great. And then so what's our last one?
Our last one is a Holy Bible Schofield reference edition with concordance, and in the very front cover there is a blue card, like a business card, from Elijah House with the name Janet Wilcox.
Let's see if we can get that close to the camera so that people can maybe see that. I'm not sure if you'll be able to read that or not. Very good, thank you.
So Elijah House in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Janet E. Wilcox, counselor, is sort of taped in. And then in the inside, there's several inscriptions to Doug from Martha Wilcox, Mrs. Roger Williams, in different places: Eugene, Oregon; Corvallis, Oregon; Austin, Texas. And then there's a name, Hazel Williams, Christmas 1929, with the verses Isaiah verses 6 and 7 noted. And the Bible itself was printed, I believe I checked, and it was 1917. Yes, 1917 by the Oxford University Press American branch. So a beloved Bible of Janet Wilcox, one of the...
Clearly a family Bible.
Yeah, from her to Doug Wilcox. So I don't know.
A father or grandfather, perhaps.
Could have been.
And given to them in the 20s? Is that what it
1917, and then there's a name 1929. The printing date is 1917, and then the Christmas 1929 is recorded in very beautiful handwriting.
So over 100-year-old family Bible from Janet Wilcox, one of the pillars of our family church community, and clearly this Bible was just read over and over again. And so what's important about this, Erin? Why do we care about these old dusty volumes from these people that we miss and love?
Well, we care about them because they're in heaven praying for us, and because they are the ones from whom we receive the faith that's transmitted through their faithful maintenance of the gospel, their faithful passing it on, and it's through their discipleship that the discipleship of Janet Wilcox and Father George and Judy, that we today have continued to receive the true gospel of Jesus Christ.